Hello.
Hello. And welcome to Hiroshima Kagura Behind the Scenes, coming to you live from Hiroshima City in Japan. Tonight we'll be delving into the fascinating rural art form of Hiroshima Kagura, and you're in for a treat because it's not only has a long tradition, it's a really entertaining art form. So we're really looking forward to sharing this with you tonight. Okay, so tonight we'll be broadcasting for an hour, where after a brief introduction into what Hiroshima Kagura is all about, we'll be taking a trip to a place that has a long Kagura tradition up in the mountains, and as well as some dramatic footage of Kagura performances, we'll be meeting some actual players who are keeping this art alive. And we'll also have time for some of your questions. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them in the comment wherever you're watching from. Thank you again. Okay, so today I'm happy to say we're joined by our resident Kagura expert, Rachel. If you've viewed any Hiroshima Kagura videos online on YouTube or Facebook, you may have seen Rachel's work. She's painstakingly translated many Kagura performances into English, and they've been added as subtitles on the videos. So thank you for joining us, Rachel.
Thank you for having me, Paul. As you just mentioned, my name is Rachel, and I am the English translator for the RCC Culture Center YouTube channel. I've been living in Japan for, 15 years now, and I've been involved with Kagura for about 4 or 5 now. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. I guess for viewers who are perhaps new to Kagura, we should start with a little explanation about exactly what it is.
Yes.
Could you help us with that, Rachel?
Sure. Kagura is traditionally a ritual dance performed at Shinto shrines to give thanks for the bounty of nature and for autumn harvest. And that has kind of transitioned into a community-based performing art that uses live music, songs, elaborate costumes, spoken dialogue to tell stories and legends of old.
Okay. And is there anything particularly special or unique about Hiroshima's form of Kagura?
Yeah, there actually is. Hiroshima Kagura has really sort of taken root, and it's very much a thriving art form here. And one of the main ways that it differs from Kagura around Japan is the use of theatrical elements, which came in due to the introduction of Kagura competitions in Hiroshima. So the troops would sort of try to one-up each other using elements like smoke machines and masks that shoot fire and sparks, and also the use of paper streamers to sort of add a bit of drama and elements that you see now as sort of a standard in Hiroshima Kagura plays.
Wow, sounds really cool. Okay, all right. So what kind of stories are told through Kagura plays?
Well, Kagura stories are generally very cut and dry, good versus evil. So you'll have the main good guy who generally works for the emperor, and usually the plays will open with the good guy describing how they're going to go and defeat a monster or a demon who's been terrorizing the good people. But there are also some stories that are less cut and dry about who's actually evil. An example of that would be one of my favorites, The Tragic Tale of Ushigozen, which is on the RCC Cultural Center YouTube channel with English subtitles. And then there are also other plays that are taken from legends of old, so it's more of the story of the legend rather than actually defeating somebody evil.
Okay. All right, we'll be taking a closer look at one particular play later on, and we'll be hearing much more from Rachel later. But now we're going to take a trip to a place that has a very long Kagura tradition, and we have some special guests who've come to Hiroshima for us. I'd like to introduce the Otsuka Kagura Troupe who are here.
Yay!
Yay.
Hello! Thank you for joining us.
Okay, and we also have another special guest from Kita-hiroshima. This is Jonah. Hi, Jonah.
Hi, Jonah.
He's also come down to Hiroshima to talk about what's so special about Kita-hiroshima.
All right. Yes, I am Jonah, and I live in Kita-hiroshima, which is to the north of Hiroshima City. And my family moved into this town about 13 years ago, and we love it. And it seems like we're going to be living there for the next few decades, if not longer. Yes, and as you can see, it's me, by the way. Yeah. Okay. And anyway, okay. Oh, so before I tell you about Kita-hiroshima, I need to tell you where Hiroshima is located. So as you can see on the map, it's on the western end of mainland Honshu, and it's an easy access from major cities such as Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Nagoya, Fukuoka, via Shinkansen or the bullet train, as you would know. And if you come to Japan, please come visit Hiroshima. And I also want y'all to come visit Kita-hiroshima, which is about 40 kilometers north from downtown Hiroshima, about an hour drive on the highway. And that place is just beautiful. And very has different seasons. Not that other cities don't have seasons, but here we go. Here we go. Okay, thank you. I believe I took this photo on the first snow in the season, and I also believe that meanwhile it was sunny in Hiroshima City.
Oh wow!
So there's a big temperature difference, and just being able to see or feel the seasons, I think it adds more colors to life, and I just like living there. By the way, that's rice paddies. It's all under the
wow!
snow. But in springtime, maybe mid-May or so, rice paddies.
It's beautiful.
Filled with water. Yes, thank you. And freshly planted rice and some old houses around. And this is what I love about living in Kita-hiroshima. It's just different from living in a city. And also in autumn, harvest time, look at those.
Oh, wow.
Those are
beautiful.
Rice, yes, ready to be harvested. So in each season, not only you can see the seasonal differences, but also with all your senses, you can smell it. You can, go outside and feel the air. Do you know the smell of rice harvesting?
The smell of rice harvesting? No.
Well, it's just the smell of fresh cut rice stem as they use a machinery. So as soon as I look at this picture, it's like I can almost smell, what it was like. So just live in a country in a rural area. This personally, I like just a slow life and not in a hurry, with lots of nature and lots of creatures as well.
Creatures?
Yes, creatures. Because I like walking by streams. And this is, for one example, but Japanese giant salamander. It's an endangered species. So
wow.
Supposedly they're rare. But in my neighborhood, I can show you a bunch of spots where you can see them. So
does that show the quality of the water and the kind of pristine state of the environment up there?
Yes. Of course, the water is clean. It comes from mountain, so from the melted snow. So water is clean. I mean, you can go swimming like nothing. As a matter of fact, some adults do.
How big is that guy?
That one's maybe about.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Right.
But there's another one about this big.
Oh wow!
It's right by my house, man. Yes. And do you like snakes, by the way?
I love snakes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a big fan of snakes, maybe.
Yes.
Oh,
Snakes,
lovely.
Yeah, from growing up, my dad taught me how to catch snakes, but I don't risk my life, so I don't catch poisonous ones. But I just, for fun, I like catching snakes. That's young, light colored striped snakes, and
so beautiful.
you touch it and you feel it. It's just
so cute.
Cool.
Yeah.
And another one, rat snake. That one's just beautiful. It's, I found it right by a paddy across the street from my house, and so lots of nature, lots of creatures. Others such as wild boars, bears, and deer.
Okay.
So
have you ever seen a bear?
Bear, not me, but
I should hope not.
But my colleague has seen one on his cycling tour.
Oh.
And speaking of whom, right there to the left, he's my colleague, and he and I both in the area called Oasa in Kita-hiroshima. We work as cycling tour guides. He does it in Japanese. I do it in English. And this is on one of the tours we took the photo. But
oh, wow.
What you see where the bike is, actually that's called Kaido, meaning that's a ancient road. So nowadays people don't use it, but it's still there. So we rode our bikes there, and it was fun just trying to imagine what it was like 600-700 years ago. I believe it exists, for more than 1,000 years. So that's the kind of tours we give. Some wonderful, mysterious looking trees. We have hundreds of those in town. That's one of the famous spots in Kita-hiroshima. And also Oasa area is also a historical town. And that's a statue of Kika clan. And the clan built 4 different castles in town, so you can
4
see
different castles.
Yes, and different shrines as well. So you can see many ruins. On bikes, we can take y'all to those ruins as on our tours. And this is called the Mt Ibuki, which is a main symbol of town of Oasa. And on foot of the mountain is where the Otsuka Troupe is located, and members usually live at the foot of the mountain. Yes, and that's the ball. That's my brother.
I can see the family resemblance.
Right.
Yeah, you're both
So yes, we're both herbivores. Yeah. Well, I eat meat sometimes. Anyhow, that's Kita-hiroshima.
Right. It looks absolutely beautiful. I can see why you decided to live there, and it sounds like you're planning to stay for the duration.
Yes.
Is that the plan at the moment?
We have no other plan to move out. So, and my wife is content. So.
And how did you find it when you first moved there, assimilating? Did you have a fairly easy time settling into this new place? I guess it's a small community there.
Right. Personally, I didn't think I was having, I would say later on, maybe 5 years after I moved in, I found out that I was missing out for the first few years, especially. A friend of mine, actually a family friend of mine, moved into Oasa. And I helped them move in, and in that process, I met a lot of people, and from that experience, I knew that had I been more outgoing, I would have met more, and that means first few years I missed a lot. But also, people in the area are very welcoming others, so I feel comfortable.
Great. Yeah, I can imagine that we can see from the video that it's a really beautiful area, and I'm sure there's lots of secret spots where you might see a giant salamander or a bear. So it's good to have that local knowledge with a guide, and you can also provide that local connection to the people in the area, which makes these kind of visits so much more fun. So I would definitely recommend taking one of Jonah and his colleagues' tours. They sound really fun.
Yes, please come to Kita-hiroshima. It's a wonderful place.
Right, thank you so much for joining us, Jonah. And,
thank you for having me.
I hope you stick around for the rest of the show. And okay, I think we've kept you waiting long enough now. And it's time to introduce the people who make Hiroshima Kagura happen. The actual troupe members, right? Who are keeping this rural tradition alive. So we'd like to welcome the Otsuka Kagura Troupe. Okay, good evening.
こんばんは。お越しいただきありがとうございます。
Thank you very much for joining us today. Would you mind introducing yourself?
それでは自己紹介をお願いします。
はい、大塚神楽団の団長をしております武田と申します。よろしくお願いします。
I'm the leader of the Otsuka Kagura Troupe. My name is Junichi Takeda. Thank you for having me here today.
大塚神楽団副団長上田真二です。よろしくお願いします。
And I'm the assistant leader. My name is Shinji Ueta. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Takeda-san, can I first ask how long has the Otsuka Kagura Dan been performing?
大塚神楽団はいつ結成されましたか？
明治30年代で、今130年をちょっと過ぎたぐらいですね。
So they've been around for a little bit over 130 years now.
Wow, 130 years. That's incredible. And can I ask what kind of roles you play in Kagura at the moment, Takeda-san?
普段はどんな役を演じてますか？
姫とか鬼とか主に悪い役ですね。
We usually play the bad guys, so the evil princesses and the demons.
Oh. And Ueta-san, how about you? What kind of roles do you play in the
はい、大太鼓です。
So he plays the large taiko drum.
Ah, so you play you're a musician.
音楽をやられてますね。
OK です。
Okay. So, can I ask, how did you first get into Kagura?
神楽をやり始めたきっかけとかはありました？
そうですね。地元の伝統でもありますし、引き継いでいきたいという思いで、しております。
Well, it was a local tradition in my area, and I really wanted to carry on that tradition, and that's what sort of got me into Kagura in the first place.
So, did you have family members, parents, or other family members who were doing Kagura before you?
家族には例えばご両親ですとかご兄弟ですとか神楽をやられている方はいらっしゃいましたか？
そうですね。父親がやっていたり、もちろん僕の子供らもやったりしてます。
His father actually did Kagura, and now his kids also perform Kagura.
Ah, so you can feel that it's a real community, very important part of the community. That's wonderful. Okay. So you've had this very long history of 130 years. And so how about today? About how many members are in your troupe right now?
130年というすごく長い歴史を持っている神楽団なんですけれども、現在はメンバー何人いますか？
現在17名ですね。
So there's 17 members at current.
And how is the age range of those performers?
年齢の幅はどういった感じでしょうか？
高校生から60代ぐらいまでいます。
So the members it's a quite diverse age range. They have high school students and all the way up to people in their 60s.
Oh, wow. That is a wide range. Okay. So how often we're seeing you practicing now, so I'm wondering how often do you guys practice?
週何回ぐらい練習はされてますか？
週3回練習をしております。
So 3 times a week.
3 times a week. And about how long is one practice session?
で、練習は何時間ぐらいでしょうか
？2時間してますね。
So they have 2 hours of practice 3 times a week.
2 hours, 3 times a week. Okay. So are there people who perform Kagura full time?
神楽を職業としてされているメンバーはいますか？
それはいません。
There are no full-time Kagura members, actually.
So everyone is performing and practicing in their free time. Is that correct?
ということは他の仕事を持ちながら空いてる時間を使って神楽を練習しているということでしょうか？
そうですね。みんな仕事が終わって集まってやってます。
Yeah, so everybody will either get home from work or school, and then they'll come straight to practice and sort of use what time they have.
Wow, that sounds like a long day. You can really sense the passion that the people have to keep this going. That's awesome. Okay, so one of the Otsuka Troupe's most popular plays is a play called Ibuki-yama, or Mt Ibuki in English. Rachel has actually translated the entire play, so we're going to give you a little taste of what the play involves, and Rachel's going to explain kind of the outline of the story. So let's take it away.
Okay. So the main thing to know about this play is the main character has a very long name, Yamato Takeru no Mikoto, and he has been a warrior since he was a child, and his father sort of ordered him to fight in different areas around Japan. And in this play, he's just come back from a long battle with an entire army in the south, which he has won, and he is on his way back to his home in Yamato. And on the way, he stops to visit his wife, who's on screen right now, taking the sword from him. And he's looking forward to going back home when the owner of the inn tells him that his father wants him to destroy one more sort of villain before he comes back home. And that is this guy on screen right here. Is basically a very powerful mountain god who's been causing trouble to the good people. So despite the fact that he's just come from defeating an entire army and is exhausted, he gives his sword to his wife, tells her to go on ahead, and he says, I'll take care of this god that should be no problem to defeat, and then I will come back to Yamato and see you. So he goes with his cohort, and they go to Mt Ibuki to face the angry god. But before that, they sort of meet with other henchmen of this god. So right now you can see on screen they have a snake, which is one of the henchmen of the mountain gods. And you can see that there's this sort of smoke and fog on the screen, and they just have the streamers, which are very characteristic of Hiroshima Kagura during a fight scene. The smoke kind of denotes that something mystical is going to happen, and these streamers are also very important. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But as you can see, it's very dramatic. The costumes are just extremely elegant, and they've got, the wigs, which are just... It's all very theatrical, which is definitely one of the characteristics of Hiroshima Kagura that you see.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. That's awesome. You can view this entire performance on YouTube with Rachel's subtitles. But today we're going to take some time to take a kind of a closer look at some of the key elements that are characteristic of Hiroshima Kagura. So let's jump into the art of Kagura. So first, I'm sure you noticed from the screens that the masks are extremely important in Hiroshima Kagura. And there are many, many different kinds of masks that we can see being used. You can see one here. Takeda-san, how many masks do you have in your troupe?
神楽団が持っているお面の数はどれぐらいでしょうか？
そうですね、50ぐらいはあると思うんですけど。
They have about 50 masks that they own.
Right, so you can see this is footage that was taken earlier from Otsuka Kagura Troupe's kind of warehouse where they keep the masks and costumes and props, I guess. So is 50 masks, so is every mask of a different character that appears in different plays?
そのお面もすべて違うキャラクターのお面でしょうか？
そうですね、キャラクターも違うし、それぞれ表情が違いますね。
Yeah, they're all different characters in the plays, and they all have different expressions.
Right.
No two are alike.
Okay, thank you. So I see that before Rachel and I were playing with a couple of replica masks, but our guests have brought along two genuine Kagura masks that they use in their performances. Would you mind showing us the mask that you
こちら
brought?
のお面を見せていただけますか？
Ooh, that is scary. That's scarier than Jonah's snake. Okay, so who is this character, Takeda-san?
こちらのお面はどういうキャラでしょうか？
伊吹山の先ほど見てもらった伊吹山の真ん中の悪いやつと横におる鬼の一人ですね。
So these two masks are from the play that we just saw, Ibuki-yama, and the one that he is holding is the main angry mountain god, and the one next to him is one of the mountain god's henchmen.
Okay, right. And what are they made of?
この面は何でできているんでしょうか？
それは紙でできています。
They're made from paper.
Paper. Is that kind of Japanese paper?
それで和紙のことですかね？
そうですね、和紙ですね。
That's exactly right, Japanese washi paper.
Right. They look like they're made of wood or something or ceramic. They look really solid.
ものすごく丈夫でもうまるで木でできてるような感じですね。
そうですね、こう分厚く貼ってあります。
So what they do is they layer the paper into a thick layer, and that's what sort of gives it that look.
Oh, okay, right. Okay. So this one looks quite new, and the other one looks a little older. Is Ueta-san, how old is the mask you're holding?
そちらの面は古いものでしょうか？
この面は代々伝わっていて40年ぐらいだと思います。
So this mask has been passed down for generations and has been used for 40 years now.
40 years, wow. So they last a long time.
結構長く持ちますね。
そうですね。修理をしたり、履いて直しをしたり。
They also they'll fix it if they need to be fixed or repaired as well. So they take very good care of them.
Okay, so that's interesting. who actually makes the masks for you?
お面はどなたが作られてますでしょうか？
これは面を作る面師の人が作ってますね。
So they have special mask craftspeople who actually make these masks as their trade. So they're made by professionals.
Oh, okay. The mask that Rachel and I were looking at through earlier, it was the eyes holes were extremely small, and I wonder. I mean, it must be difficult to perform and dance with such limited vision.
先ほどレプリカの面でちょっとかぶってもらって、それですごく見づらくて、これをかぶってまったりするのってやっぱり大変でしょうか？
そうですね。非常に大変です。
That's right. It's extremely difficult.
So how do you overcome that?
それをどうやってそれを克服することができるんでしょうか？
もう練習あるのみですね。
Practice is the only way that you can actually successfully dance while having a very limited field of vision.
Right, practice makes perfect. Yeah, I guess. Right. Okay, thank you. I actually heard that some people in areas where the Kagura has a strong tradition actually have some of the masks in their houses. Is that true?
神楽が盛んな地域の方がこういうお面とかを壁に飾ったりとかすることはあると聞いたことあるんですが、そうでしょうか？
はい、魔除けという形で、家に飾って魔を払うという風習があります。
So the masks are actually used as sort of a way to ward off evil spirits and bad luck. So it's sort of used as almost like a form of protection, and that's why they put them in their houses.
Okay, that's interesting. They must be a little bit scary for little kids, though.
でも子供にとってはちょっと怖いかもしれないですね。
夜とっても怖いですね。
It's especially scary at night.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so of course the masks are important in Kagura, but you will have noticed, of course, the costumes. The costumes there are as beautiful as the masks are fierce. And we're going to take a look at take a close look at a costume that the Otsuka Kagura Troupe have actually brought to the studio for us. If we can take a little close up. Okay, you can see this incredible garment, right? The design is absolutely beautiful. The colors, the design. How are these costumes made?
こちらの衣装とっても豪華なんですけれども、どうやって作られてますでしょうか？
そうですね。これはもうまた衣装屋さんという職人さんがおられて、それが手作りで作っておられます。
So these are all handmade by craftsmen and craftspeople as well, who do nothing but make these elaborate costumes, and it's all hand embroidered.
Oh, wow. Okay. And are they designs that have been passed down through generations? Is there a set decided design that costumes have?
こちらの衣装もそうなんですけれども、竜とか渦巻きとかが描かれてまして、こういうデザインに何か意味が込められてますでしょうか？
はい、これは悪が着る衣装でありまして、はい、悪にはそれやっぱり竜とか虎とか炎渦巻きとか、その悪には悪のデザインがあります。
So because this is a costume worn by the bad guy, a monster or a demon, the motifs that you see are typically ones that are associated with the bad guy. So dragons, tigers, fire, things that denote that this person is an evil character. So those are all traditional designs.
Okay. So if this is the bad guy's costume, then I guess Takeda-san wears this kind of costume.
こちら鬼が着る衣装ということで、武田さんがよく着られるかと思うんですけれども。
So it looks quite heavy. About how much do these costumes weigh?
すごく重たそうに見えるんですが、だいたい何キロぐらいでしょうか？
そうですね。全部衣装を着て20キロあるかないかだと思います。
So when you wear the entire costume, it's about 20 kilos in total.
20 kilos. Okay, right. So when you're performing the kind of moves that we've seen in the video, that must really be hard work, carrying all that weight while you're doing those difficult moves.
これを着ながらこうぐるぐる回ったりとかするんですけれども、それはやっぱりかなり大変ですね。
大変なんです。
It really is hard. It's really rough.
Must be good exercise. Is that why you're so fit and healthy?
ものすごくいい運動になりそうですけどね。
痩せ衰えますね。
I was surprised at how much weight I lost.
So maybe we can get the Kagura diet going. Maybe we can get a new trend going. Okay. One thing, Ueto-san, is it okay? Can I ask you? It's a little bit impolite, perhaps, but I mean, how much does one of these costumes cost?
ちょっと聞いていいかどうかわかりませんが、聞くだけ聞いてみるんですが、おいくらぐらいでしょうか？
日本の軽自動車が買えるぐらい。
You can buy a pretty nice car for the price of this outfit.
Okay. All right. Okay. And how many of these costumes do you have at the Kagura Troupe?
この衣装は何着ぐらい持ってるんですか？
これは大物の衣装なんですけど、大きいのから小さいの、部分言えば100着ぐらいあるのではないか。
So they have several. I mean, this is an example of one of the larger costumes that they have. But if you count all of the costumes, big and small, they have about 100, 200, 100.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of cars. Yeah. Okay. All right. So as you can see, Kagura is a feast for the eyes, but also the music of Kagura is also extremely important and a real characteristic of the art. And as we heard before, Ueto-san plays the big drum in the Kagura troupe, and so I'd like to ask Ueto-san some questions about music in Kagura. Let's start with the instruments. I don't know if you can see, but the musicians are about to start playing in the video. What are the typical instruments you'll find in Kagura, Ueto-san?
はい、楽器についてなんですが、神楽に使う楽器は、どういった楽器を使うでしょうか？
はい、大太鼓、小太鼓、手打ち鐘、笛で行います。
So they have 4 instruments that they use. They have the large taiko drum, the small taiko drum, the small hand cymbals, and the Kagura flute.
Okay, and are there always 4 musicians on stage at the same time?
総額はいつも4名でやられてますか？
はい、通常4名です。ただ祭りなどで、場合によっては手打ち鐘が2人になることがあります。
Yeah, it's usually 4 people, but sometimes if they're at, it depends on the play that they're doing, they might have another hand cymbal player come in and help out, so there'd be 5, but generally just 4.
And the music, I guess the score, is that something that's decided from many years before and something that's handed down from generation to generation?
総楽についてですが、音楽や歌は代々引き継がれるものでしょうか？
はい、うちのそこそこの神楽団の楽がございます。
So yes, it's handed down from the previous generations.
Okay. So is there like a volume of all the sheet music from many years that you can look at and practice from?
ということで楽譜とかはありますか？
楽譜持たれてる神楽団もあられるんですけど、うちは楽譜はあまりなくて、歌の本はあります。
So there are some Kagura troupes that do have sort of books of sheet music, but our troupe does not have any sheet music. We do have books that have the lyrics to the songs, but there are no notes.
Okay, wow. So you kind of have to practice and practice by ear, would you say?
じゃあ耳で覚えることですかね、音楽は。
覚えるのです。
That's exactly right.
Wow, that sounds tough. Takeda-san, I actually heard that your daughter also plays an instrument in the Kagura troupe. Is that correct?
娘さんが楽器をやられてるって聞いたんですけれども、どういった楽器をされてますでしょうか？
笛をずっとやってます。
Yes, she plays the flute.
Oh, the flute.
The Kagura
Okay.
flute.
All right, the flute is really important sound in Kagura performances.
ものすごく重要ですね。
How long did it take her to pick up the skills she needed to perform on stage?
笛ができるようになるまでは大体どれぐらい時間かかりましたか？
そうですね、吹ける子はすぐ吹くんです。曲になるまではまあしばらくかかるけど、結構早く吹く子は吹きますね。
So it's kind of like any other flute where some people take to it really quickly and they can actually play it and make actual sounds. But in order to be able to play the music, it does sort of take, practice just like any other instrument. But there is, I think, a level of some people are able to really get it off the bat and some people it takes a little bit longer.
Okay, thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
So, so after looking at the arts of Kagura, we're gonna take a look now at some of the technical aspects of Hiroshima Kagura that give it the theatrical element that makes it so popular and is perhaps one of the reasons why so many young people are continuing to get involved. So, first of all, the first Kagura skill we're going to take a look at. I won't give it away immediately, but if we can see a clip of keep an eye on the guys in the reddish tunics and keep an eye on their costume. They're winding up now as they fight the mountain god's henchmen, and as they pick up speed, you might notice. Did you catch that? Something's different. Something's changed with their costume, and as they spin and spin and spin, I think we're gonna see it one more time, perhaps in slow motion. But yeah, you can see how gorgeous the costumes are and how they glisten in the light, and it's really spectacular. The crowd loves it when the people are. Here we go. So here we see it in slow motion, and as you can see, the costume is changing as they spin. This is a real signature move in Kagura battle scenes. So we're going to get a little, this is really behind the scenes. We're not really supposed to share this secret information, but we have special permission to let you know how this actually happens. So could you help us explain how this costume change happens?
じゃあこの衣装の早変わりについてちょっと説明していただけますでしょうか。
はい、今出ている着ているのがこれが普通に最初に出て舞う時のスタイルです。衣装は片桐と言います。
So this costume that he's wearing right now is called katagiri, which means there are cuts in the shoulders, and this is how they look when they first come out in the battle scene.
はい。で、合戦でですね、戦いのシーンなどで場面が切り替わる場合、これからいよいよ戦うぞという時にですね、衣装の早変わりということで、片桐が落として、衣装を変えて戦いに入ります。
So during the battle scene, when it kind of ramps up to this fever pitch and you see them spinning, that's when they release. There's actually buttons on the shoulders that they release, and that is what helps the costume change happen. でもちょっと見せていただけますか？
おー。
ありがとうございます。
So does this move have any particular meaning, or is it something to wow the crowd?
こちらの早変わりって何か意味がありますか？それともただのエンターテインメントとしてあるんでしょうか？
エンターテインメントではありますけれども、はい、一人で着る脱ぐというよりも、揃って舞う、やはりそこでみんなきれいに一度に舞う技術も必要ですので、神楽の技術の見せ所でもあります。
So while it is certainly entertaining, it also takes a lot of skill, and they usually don't have just one person spinning around and changing their costume. It's generally you've got the group, and they all sort of release it at once. So it's a very technical skill as well, and it's very much a trademark of Hiroshima Kagura.
Yeah, when you see this kind of thing, it's usually in the battle's really heating up, and you usually get a great reaction from the audience. And I just would like to ask, from the audience side of things, is it okay to clap or to cheer? Or to when a Kagura performance is going on, or should we be very polite and quiet? and carefully watch.
ちょっと基本的な質問ではあるんですけど、観客として神楽を見るときに、例えばこういった早変わりがあったりとか、ものすごく盛り上がるシーンがあるときに、拍手したり、声を出したりとかしては大丈夫でしょうか、それとも静かに見とった方がいいですか？
もうどんどん拍手をいただければと思います。はい、ぜひこうやって、拍手も声も声援もとっても嬉しく感じてます。
No, we really appreciate if you would just clap, cheer, and make noise. Let us know you're having a good time.
All right, that's awesome. It sounds really fun. Great. Okay. All right. So our next Kagura skill is we're going to take a look at the sword play, which you can see that as they pick up speed, the waving of the swords, it gets more and more intricate. And I was wondering how difficult is it to learn this kind of choreography? Perhaps Takeda-san could answer that.
戦いのシーンはすごく大変そうなんですけれども、こちらの動きとかを完全にマスターするまではどれぐらい時間かかりますか？
そうですね。人にもよるんですけど、まあ1年ぐらいはかかるかなとは思いますね。
Says it depends on the person, but about a year usually to master this kind of choreography.
Wow, a year. That's I mean, when you take a look at it, you can imagine how it would take that long. And may I ask, are the swords sharp?
持っている剣なんですけれども、ちゃんと切れますか？鋭いんですか？
いえいえ、あれは切れません。切れたら大変なことになります。
They are not sharp, so you'd really have to put a lot of force behind it to cut anything.
Okay, so it's rare to have an injury when you're practicing or in a performance.
あんまり怪我はしないということですかね。
いや、結構しますよ。
Well, that's not exactly the case. There are cases where people get injured.
Oh, okay. So in Kagura, insurance is also important, I think, probably. Yeah.
じゃあ神楽の保険が必要となりますね。
そうですね。あるといいです。
It's a good idea to have it.
So what I see, it strikes me that maybe when kids see this, they must think this is really cool, and does it get younger people interested in taking part in Kagura when they see this kind of high energy parts of the performances?
やっぱりこういったすごくかっこいい戦いシーンが出ると、やっぱり子供とか若者すごく魅了されるかなと思うんですけれども、やっぱこういうシーンを見て神楽団に入りたいなっていう子供が多いんですかね。
はい、いろんな大会とか行くとですね、子供さんが喜んでその鬼の棒を持ったり真の剣を持ったりして、はしゃいでいる子供さんもいらっしゃいます。で、うちの神楽団で言いますと子供神楽団がございまして、そういった神楽が好きな子供に神楽を教えて、神楽好きの子供というのと教えております。
So often at Kagura competitions, you'll see kids running around playing with like plastic swords, and they kind of want to pretend to be the villain or pretend to be, like the hero. And so you really see that they get into that. So it is definitely one way that you can get kids and younger people into Kagura. And also, the Otsuka Kagura Troupe has a children's Kagura troupe where they teach kids who are into Kagura how to do it and carry it on to the next generation.
Can I ask, how old do the kids in the children's Kagura group or club, when do they start trying Kagura?
子供神楽団は大体何歳ぐらいから始まるんですか？
うちは小学校1年生から中学校3年生までを対象としています。
So they generally start as first year in elementary school all the way up to their third year of junior high school.
Okay. And how many of those kids go on from junior high school into high school and then maybe joining Kagura troops?
その子供神楽をやられてる、子供からちゃんと大人になって実際に神楽団に入るっていう人は何人ぐらいでしょうか？はい、
今先ほど17名神楽団いましたけど半分ぐらいそうだと思います。
So of the 17 members that they have now, about half of them actually started in children's Kagura clubs.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's almost like I don't know, soccer youth development program.
なんだろう、こう、若者の育成プログラムみたいな感じで。
そうなればいいと思います。
kind of hope that that is actually what it becomes for them. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way of keeping the tradition going. It sounds wonderful. I've often wondered if Stan Lee, the great Stan Lee, was a Kagura fan, as one of the most amazing Kagura moves always brings Spider-Man to mind for me. This is when usually the bad guys, you saw a little clip of this earlier, shoot webs into the sky. There you go. So this is one of the most spectacular and really one of the real signature parts of Hiroshima Kagura. So I was wondering, does this, the streamers, do they have a particular meaning?
クムの糸は特別な意味とかはありますでしょうか？
そうですね、悪い悪が使う妖術だったりそういうものの意味合いだとは思っています。
So the streamers, the webs are actually, they represent the magic that the demons have, the magic and the power that they have.
Okay. Right, we see a lot of streamers in this scene, so I'm guessing he's a pretty powerful demon.
ということはこちらではクムの糸がすごく多いので、ものすごく力強い鬼だということですね。
そうですね、悪いやつだと思います。
He is very evil.
And is this Takeda-san that we're seeing in this video?
Is this こちらは武田さんでしょうか？出てるの
みたいですね。
Yeah, looks like that. Looks like that to me.
Yeah, you look pretty scary.
結構怖いですね。
Okay. All right. So we're seeing it in what it looks like from the audience perspective here on the video. How do you actually do this? Could you explain to us a little bit about how this is done?
実際にそのクモの糸ってどうやって出すでしょうか？
そうですね、こう作ったやつをこう紙に包んで手に持ちやすいああやって引っ掛けるところを作ってで包んである紙を破いてその場面になったらボールを投げるように雲を投げます。
So what they do is they have all of the streamers sort of bundled together and wrapped in a thin layer of tissue paper. They have a ring where you can sort of put it onto your hands so you can keep your grip. And then right before you throw it, you sort of rip the outer layer and then you have all the streamers inside and you kind of throw it like you would throw a baseball.
Wow. Okay, and you're preparing all of that in your hand while you're dancing and fighting.
じゃあ待ってる時にそれも準備してるっていうことですね。
そうです、そうです。
That's exactly right.
Right, that's pretty cool.
ありがとうございます。
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so one thing I've wondered when I've seen Kagura performances in the past, sometimes the streamers are white like we saw in the video, and sometimes they're a red color. I was wondering if there's a difference in what they represent or their meaning.
演目によってたまに赤いクモの糸とかもあるんですけれども、それもなんか違う意味とかあるんでしょうか？
なんかあるんかもしれませんね。
I think there might be. I think sometimes it's used to represent blood.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. Okay, all right. Oh! No, it looks like after all this talk of Kagura and demons, we've opened a portal and summoned a demon to our studio. Oh, no! Okay. Did that work? Okay. So as we recover from our demon attack, we're going to show you guys one of the climactic scenes from Ibuki-yama. We're going to go back to the henchmen have been dispatched by our heroes, but the mountain god, as you've seen, is pretty feisty, and he is not going to go down without a fight. So please enjoy. Okay, welcome back. we have a new guest. I'm going to have to behave myself, I think. As you can see, you can tell from that scene just how spectacular and exciting Hiroshima Kagura can be. And we really urge you, if you have the opportunity when you're in Hiroshima, to check it out. Ideally, if you can head into the hinterlands and see it in the communities where it's being performed and practiced regularly, like Kita-hiroshima, would be awesome. Okay, so we have some great questions from you guys, and so let's get into asking your questions. Okay, so first of all, we've seen a lot of guys in the videos and with us today, and we're wondering are there any women involved in Kagura?
はい、Q&A に参りたいと思います。今日、そして、動画の中ではたくさんの男性の方が出るんですけれども、神楽をやっている女性もいますでしょうか？
そうですね、おられますよ。
Yeah, there actually are women in Kagura.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of roles do they play?
女性は、どういう役割を、例えば、舞ったりとか、楽器をやったりとか。
結構、芯を舞う人も手だし、姫をやったり、もちろん楽をやる人とか、それぞれ結構おられます。
There are actually a lot of women who basically play all the same roles as men. So you have playing the heroes, playing the villains, and also playing the music.
Oh, okay, awesome. So if there's any ladies out there who'd like to get involved with Kagura, they're more than happy to have you join, I think.
ぜひ女性の方も大歓迎ということで。
そうですね、ぜひ。
And another question we had was about the masks and the costumes. So one thing we didn't cover was just how long does it take to create, for example, how long does it take to make the costumes that we see?
先ほど視聴者の方から、お面と衣装についての質問が来ています。今日見せていただいた衣装なんですけれども、出来上がるまではどれぐらい時間かかりますでしょうか？
大きいものは1年以上かかります。
So for the larger pieces, like the one that we saw today, it can take over a year to create.
Wow, over a year. Wow, that's incredible. So, and are there many places that are creating these? Are there many craftspeople who are creating these costumes?
1年以上もかかるということなんですけれども、こちらの専門の職人さんはたくさん残ってますか？
いや、だんだんおられなくなっています。はい、すべてまた手作りなので、どうしても少ない人数の方で、非常に凝った、注文オーダーメイドなので、どうしても時間がかかってしまいます。
So there aren't actually the craftsmen are sort of every single year there's less and less of them because it is quite a daunting task and they are all completely hand stitched and handmade and order made. So unfortunately the number of people who can do that is actually dwindling.
Right. Okay. So and is that also the same with the masks?
お面も同じでしょうか？
もう結構比較的早かったり、季節にもよるんですけど。天候が良ければ結構2ヶ月ぐらいで作っていただいたりできますね。はい。
When it comes to masks, they're actually doesn't take as much time. Depending on the season, some of them can take as few as 2 months to complete. Actually, so compared to the costumes, it's definitely much lighter workload.
Okay, and we talked a little bit about the cost of the costumes and stuff. And I wonder, you also mentioned that there are. The people performing Kagura are doing it is in their free time, kind of like a very high level hobby, I guess. But so I wonder how are the Kagura troupes funded? Is there if you can give any light on that, would be I think people would be very very interested.
先ほども衣装のお値段ですとか、仕事をしながら空いた時間を使って神楽を練習している団員さんたちがほとんどという話もあったんですけれども、ということでこの神楽団がどうやって敷金といいますかお金はどんなふうにもらっているのでしょうか？
そうですね、地域から、お祭りの時に御花としていただいたり、公演で出演料としていただいたり、そういうので衣装を作ったり面を作ったりしています。
So when they perform at different shrines during the festival season, they do get a fee from the local community to come and perform. So it's like a performance fee that they get, and that's where they get most of their funds. And then they use those funds to buy new costumes, repair costumes, and do what they need to do.
Okay. Right, so that you can see right through this show, we've been. It comes up again, the importance of community in keeping this art form going. And I wonder, we've 2 years of the pandemic, and I was wondering how has the corona pandemic affected Kagura for the Otsuka Kagura Troupe and in general?
今日のバーチャルツアーでよくその地域の話がよく出るんですけれども支えてくれる地域の話なんですが、この2年間、ずっとコロナ禍の中でどういった影響があったのでしょうか？
はい、神楽も我々の地域では年3回地域で、公演させていただくんですけれども、それも中止、また他の伝統芸能である盆踊りであったりトンドであったり、そういった地域行事がいずれもコロナのパンデミックで中止となって非常に寂しい状況であります。
So during the course of the pandemic, not only Kagura performances that have been canceled, but also all the other great local traditions, summer bon dancing, festivals have all been canceled due to the pandemic. So it's been kind of a quiet and sort of almost lonely and sort of sad year for traditional performing arts because they've all been canceled.
Okay, and over the last couple of years, because of this situation, I guess there's been more opportunities or people have had to go perform more online. But we think that hopefully once the pandemic is behind us, the community strength, the spirit will keep this art form continuing to grow and thrive. And we really hope that people will, having seen it online, will be inspired and visit us here in Hiroshima. Not only visit the city, but get out into the rural areas and experience Hiroshima Kagura, the people who perform it in the place where it began. So if you want to see more Hiroshima Kagura, you can go to the RCC Culture Center Kagura channel on YouTube. Dig around there's lots of English subtitle Kagura, thanks to our expert Rachel. And if you would like to visit Kita-hiroshima and say hi to Jonah and his colleagues and the snakes, then please check out the Hiroshima Hatsu Tours website. Okay, so all that's left for me is to say thank you to our guests from the Otsuka Kagura Troupe. Thank you so much for making the trip down. Thank you to Jonah from Kita-hiroshima for our special Kita-hiroshima guide. Thank you. And of course to Rachel for her interpretation tonight and all her work with Hiroshima Kagura. And I should also say thank you to RCC Culture Center for their awesome support in helping us put this program together. We've really enjoyed working with them, and we really hope that it's done something to help Hiroshima Kagura along the way. So, of course, not forgetting, thank you to you all for watching. Thank you for taking the time, and we hope that you'll come visit us in Hiroshima sometime. Thank you. Good night. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Yay.